So I've been ready to go since like the moment I hit go live. What I haven't done is like actually set up captions. Edge. It's not Internet Explorer. If you type in Internet Explorer, it used to say, here's Edge. You can open it up if you'd like, and now it just doesn't. Which is funny to me. I could actually fix that. I'm talking in the start menu. I'm sure I could fix that through some sort of fucking about. I'm not going to, but I could. Why am I so dark? Yeah. All right. I'm going to turn brightness on my face up. We'll see if it works. Yeah, all right. That's scattering a few more lumens over my face. Hello and welcome. Happy Sunday. Happy Easter Sunday. He has risen. In this thread, we hit on Jesus. What you gonna do with all those holes, my lord? Well, I'm going to hell. I mean, there's no one in chat, so, like, if I go to hell, no one will save me. Oh. Well, that means it's just you and me, VOD watchers. You know the horrible thing I said that I will not repeat on camera. Actually, I almost certainly will, but it'll work. So it has been a lovely Easter Sunday, and primarily because lovely Emma Stitches gave me the greatest gift you can give a co-parent, and that is sleeping. It was a daylight saving switchover for many of you people, and all of you people without animals, or animals who behave a lot, or children, especially young children, probably enjoyed an extra hour of sleep. But to everyone who is not bound by the tyranny of the tick,
Sorry, I can't.
tick, 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 we
On it.
we got up at the regular time. And when I say we, I mean Emma Stitches.
These markings suggest multiple tribes cohabitating, and in such proximity to humans. Intriguing.
I'm not sure what surprises me more. How calm these beastmen are, or how comfortable the others are with their presence.
Oh, the stench of beastmen. I see living near the humans and don't prove that at all. Smells of long hunts. We need sound to change, voice 100%, effects down, except I think them crawling, clawing and snarling at each other. Yeah, that's voice.
Here, all tribes nest together.
Usually you don't see beastmen living so closely with people. Not without a pen or someone getting torn limb from limb. Or both. Yet
The rippling wall of muscle and fur sniffs the air at your approach.
Show some respect, whelp.
Kills and Shadows rears up at the beast. Unmoved by Kills and Shadows' display of aggression, the beast stares at you expectantly. Show this beast who's boss.
We'll pound some sense into this young one.
Kills and Shadows locks her fists together, tucking her talons in to deliver a blunt wallop to the beast's head. Enough! The beast quickly relents, holding its paws out in contrition as it bows before Kills and Shadow. I'm second to your strength, will not challenge. Glaring at the beast with a low growl, Kills and Shadow begins to lurch forward, but thinks better of it. With a quiet sigh, she shakes her head.
Now, I was just thinking about how what this place really needed was a beastman colony, because someone would absolutely think that. Really, they would.
Beast with an elementalist, badass. Skirmisher, Denizen. Anyway, we gotta talk to one of the two people here. Insipid Monica. Now, it's certainly dumbing it down, but they have someone called Dumb Name? Oh, hey, Luxy. That's fucking hilarious. Anyway, let's talk to this water tidecaster. What was I saying? Yeah, greatest gift you can give a co-parent, a sleep-in. Because Emma Stitches, poor Emma Stitches was up at 6:20, 6:17 or so, because Baby K is not bound by the tyranny of the ticking clock. He got up at what he assumed was a regular time. And Emma Stitches had an adventure, playing around, having a great time, entertaining the child, and
Can't do that.
woke me up at one point, was like, sleep, set an alarm for 9, and take over around then. I'm like, okay. And at that point, when I woke up and we swapped out, somebody She had a nap. I played with the boy for a while until we packed up, went to grandparents' place to have the traditional Easter egg hunt, eat of chocolate, and delicious lunch. That, trip home, nap, trip to the shops to pick up an easy dinner because Baby K has been playing with his little toy wooden pizza oven for a while. And so he keeps talking about ham and pineapple pizza. So, well, let's actually get some ham and pineapple pizza. So he and I went on an adventure to go pick that up. By that time, it's get him ready, have a bit of dinner, and it's stream time. That's a good Sunday. I mean, it is nice to not have to go to work tomorrow, but it is a fourth day in the parenting roster, and I'm running out of ideas of fun things to do. Oh, thank fuck. 5:30, Jesus. Okay, no, back to sleep. Back to sleep. Yeah, running out of ideas for babysitting. I may tap someone on the shoulder and be like, "Hey, let's go to a park. I can kill some hours in that one." See? It's funny. I know that some people homeschool or don't have daycare and they just do this end to end every day. And I'm sure I could. But it is very nice to have time where you are just an adult. Like, highly enjoyable to be like, I am talking about adult things. Anyway, let's talk to this Thai caller. A bearded, weathered figure stands by the pool's edge, eyes closed in concentration. His face, uncharitably weathered from years of sun and wind, is a collection of deep intertwining creases wreathed by the brittle-looking grey mane. One disapproving eye snaps open as you approach. Of all the shriveled barnacles to find, you, by Kairos' swollen tit, you, what of Camberwell, Hagravar? Don't tell me you're all that's left. Step back, let him talk. They fought a good fight, but felt a can at the well. In defeat, they were fed to the voices of Narat. I'm all that's left. How about you? How'd you slither your way here? They're dead? So the militants have fallen and you're all that's left. Fuck us all. Kairos really has one. And I didn't slither. It was more of a surreptitious cruel. Speaking of lowly vermin, what are you doing with this lowlife? Lowlife? Watch how you address me, old man. Not you, her. The old man jabs a finger in Eb's direction. How'd you let this old huckster trick you into a friendship? If you needed an adoptive mother, there are less quarrelsome whores who would do the job with less backtalk and disease. She now works for me. Figured she'd find a new pimp once Jade set sail. You should be careful. Eb's not just any tidecaster. She's the last in a long line of truly ornery tidecasters. I merely dabble in bitchcraft. Eb elevates it to both science and art. Let's just say I have a greater respect for the inevitability of Kairos. Not saying I've changed my mind and I wish I'd hitched a ride with a flotilla of cowards. Guess I'm trying to protect the tears my own way. As I'm sure you think you are as well. You think you and those salty old queens you so adored were the only casters unwilling to flee? You fools were just dumb enough to wave your arms until the Archons noticed you. Some of us, well, okay, one of us still knows the ancient art of subtlety. Remain silent. Ah, yes, and what's more subtle than... What is it you're doing here? Restarting civilization in the old walls? Did you travel the tiers looking for folks who wanted to commit suicide by Bane, but needed a group setting for that extra push to get it done? Hardly. I came here to be left alone, but I'm just so damn charming and attractive. Society found me and I didn't kick it out of bed. Don't belittle what we're doing down here. I don't visit you in your brothel, slap the dick out of your mouth and tell you how to be you. Need me to give you two a moment? A moment? Hardly. I can't think of the last time Wagstaff has kept up his banter for more than a minute or two. Holy shit. Questacon Playground, Arboretum Playground, Indoor, Play Center, a different playground, Swim, and the 0 to 6 play space in the museum. That's pretty good. That's very good indeed. I don't have the memory to recall what I have achieved. There's been some inventive things at home, including a not severe, an extensive, tidy and restructure of kids' toys in the playpen, which has re-established a greater enthusiasm for the things in the playpen. Less is more. And kid shows on TV, maybe. Watering the garden, walk, basketball. Yeah. Trip in the wagon to playground is probably going to be the go. That's for sure. Ever since you aged into that face of a worn tangerine, we all had problems keeping things up around you. Speaking of improbable feats of tumescence, is that little apex boy of yours still ramming your stern on the regular? Remain silent. Oof, that's a long walk. Well done. Aldanos died of his wounds to the battle of the gates of judgment. How about you? I can only assume half of the reason you're here is to find some new apprentices and fuck them. That's what I'd do. Remain silent. Well, yes and no. Yes for the apprentices, but I don't know. I just might stay here. We've stumbled upon something unusual here. Not sure how permanent a solution living here might be, but I've been trying to make the most of it. Being a friend here changes things. The Tidecaster points at you with a scowl. We always knew outsiders would come, but short of Graven Ash showing up, a fate binder is about as terrifying a notion as we've imagined. Yeah. That's a long distance. Well, sorry, that's a long time. I think, like, in my arms, probably swapping from arm to arm. Usually when I'm doing that, I'm also carrying groceries, and it makes things much harder. But if you're on my shoulders, I'm sure we can manage it. I assume someone pointed you toward me to speak for the settlement. If there are matters to discuss, and so be it. I may not like it, but I do lead these people. Frankly, only because nobody else can. A stone-straddling fool Jaspos will talk himself into believing he's up to the task, but I don't believe his bluster for a moment. Anyway, I'll just ask the question everyone's wondering. What are your intentions with us? There you go. For now, this settlement may continue to operate independently. Siren likes that. Good. These people don't need Kyrus' justice to be miserable. Just living in these old walls seems its own punishment. The last thing we ought to do is butcher these people over some stupid rule we never follow anyway. He raises an eyebrow, observing you with unmasked skepticism. Unexpected fate binder. Perhaps your visit was worth the interruption. Making your life without someone breathing down my neck is all I've ever wanted. Thank you. He appears genuinely disgusted with his halfway cordial offering and shakes his head violently to banish the feeling. You need to not wiggle, yeah. With a satisfied nod, Wagstaff cups his hand and bellows, "The court will extend mercy!" Wagstaff's celebratory yell echoes through the makeshift village and is answered by distant cries of relief and sobs of joy. Thank you, Fatebinder. I knew the day would come that we'd be discovered, and I imagined a much bloodier scenario. In this regard, I'm happy to be made a fool. Life here in the wound isn't easy. We've always assumed outsiders will bring death, not help. Your leniency is the sort of surprise we needed in these difficult times. Though I never would have guessed that your arrival may be the sign of good things to come. These people here seem guilty of little more than trying to survive. I'm happy to be of service. If I may take you literally for a second, let's say I was in need of someone who can come and go from this refuge and handle some matters for me. Would you be willing? It's hard for me to leave things unattended, and if I were to perish. Depends on what you have in mind. There's an old rival of mine out there, a sage named Phoebe. He twists the rope on the end of his belt, grimacing. Yes, we're from rival schools. No, this isn't just a case of an unsettled score. I live and let live, but she poses an actual threat to the wound. She had knowledge of my plans to journey north to trace Can's path in these mountains, which may expose us. She could bring a slew of homeless sages here, probably followed by a gaggle of spies. It's not worth the risk. She needs to die. His tone is matter of fact, almost casual. The problem is finding her. We had a casual mutual contact, Melita, who used to spend this time of year in Lethian's Crossing. If the two are still in touch, she'll be able to point you in the right direction. Oh, God, that sucks. I'm sorry to hear that. Emma Stitches is sounding a little congested. It feels like she's potentially been fighting off a cold for a few days, so that's not fun. Here I am tempting fate, feeling totally fine. So we'll see if that changes. as it probably will. But in the meantime, I'm on call. If my phone buzzes and it's an message just being like, I am tired, please help, then I'm jumping over to look after the boy and I'll put you on break. Maybe come back, maybe message to say we're done for the evening, okay? I'll let you know. All of Bastard's wound would be in your debt. Most of all me. Can I trust in your help? How do you know her? Over a decade ago, the School of Tides and the School of Inkle and Quill tried yet again to discuss peace. She represented her school, and I was forced to represent our end of this fruitless minute's mediation. It was all a farce to get to know a few of us, figure out who should be spied upon. Several span later, some of my work was discovered by the sages. Fucking word thieves, every last one of them. Is this sage really such a threat? Croaky throat and crushing headaches and muscle aches. Fan-fucking-tastic. God. It's tough. It's really tough. I'm very sympathetic. It's just like I keep saying this because it's the most honest way to think about it. Being a good parent is tiring. We could do nothing but like have TV and nothing else. Like have kids TV and do nothing else and just not be present. But when we have energy to spend, we spend it on them. And when we spend that energy, it ends up being tiring. What a surprise. So, like, yeah. Even doing that when well, let alone sick. And like copious studies are like when a child is in daycare and has exposure to healthy, lots of trustworthy and encouraging adults and lots of other kids their own age and older, it's really good for their brain and social development. It's almost like it's communal schooling is good for their brain. So being at daycare is also good for them. And it is also a tie-in way to be like, well, it helps our brain to have moments where we're not on-call parenting. Allow us to live our dreams a little bit as well. Yeah. Is this sage really such a threat? She's a risk to everyone living here. The woman hates me. Having dealings with her in the past was a mistake, and I'll be damned if I let that error ruin all that we've built here. Now that her school's in ruin, she'll view my accomplishments here as research and be appropriated. And while she's at it, she'll engineer a catastrophe for the wound just to spite me. So yes, Fatebinder, I'm sure. I'll find her. Thank you. This matter's haunted me for quite a while. If my stupidity caused the wound to be uncovered, there's not to think of it. You have been unlike any other servants of Karos I've encountered. We are indebted to your patience and reason. One more thing, Fatebinder. If you did kill her, be sure to gather her belongings. Very important. That's the only way I can verify that you found the right sage. It would also... His words falter as he chokes up with a halting smile. It would also mean a great deal to me to see my old scrolls back. On the off chance she still carries them. It's a petty and vain request, but you've been robbed before. You probably know the feeling. What else do you want of me? What do you do here as one of the leaders? He shakes his head. I'm the only true leader, as I've said before, but I won't belabor the point. He clears his throat. 3 years ago, I stumbled across these old walls and very quickly found I wasn't alone. A clutch of hungry and sick tearsmen had stumbled upon this enclave as well. I'd come here to escape Karos' forces, but I'm nothing if not driven by a noblesse oblige. I decided I'd weigh anchor for a bit and help out. His staff dips into the pool at his feet, sending ripples across its surface. Water's both the problem and the solution. The refugees were surrounded by it, but we couldn't drink it without picking up whatever old walls-induced disease lived within it. Withering rot, we call it. What's wrong with the water down here? The streams that run through these old walls have something foul about them. Some suggest the Bane do their business upstream and it taints the water. I suspect the problem is less scatological in origin, but likely mystical all the same. Whatever it is, it leads to fevers, seizures, eventually death. I've been able to concoct a remedy if administered in time, and I can mix the solution with water and make it drinkable. But untreated, the water here is a death sentence. Let him continue. To a tidecaster, these are trivial matters. So long as I'm here making a solution to purify the water is a simple matter. I make life here possible. It's a difficult burden, but I'm honored my talents are put to good use. Tell me about the Tidecasters. She didn't wax nostalgically already. With a nudge of his staff, the old man glares at Eb. Apparently my information is out of date. I sure thought I was the last of our school, but apparently I hadn't looked under the rock you've been calling home. We're the students of occulted Jade, Archon of Tides. She was one of the founding pioneers of the Tiers, and her school has been the longest-running institution of learning in the peninsula. Don't listen to what the sages say. Why don't you leave with the others? I was one of the few to stay, and why not? This is my home. I don't care about Kyrus's war or the slaughter sport of these Archons, but I also wasn't about to sail west to die of starvation on the high seas. The Promised Lands are a lie. The ocean goes onward, or maybe you fall off the edge or wrap around to the east coast of Taratas and land right in Kyrus's lap. If I'm to die, let it happen on my father's coast and on my mother's land. What have you been doing since the school's departure? I spent the first few span dealing with some unfinished business. A half-dozen sages, a Ron, some friends of mine, and I'll admit, vengeance occupied me for a time. When Kyrus's forces came, I decided to stay far from the beaten path. I set out to the mountains to find privacy. This space was serendipity writ large. When others stumbled upon this place, as I was shifted from hovel to home. I did not expect or ask for the responsibility of caring for these people, but now that I wear it, mental's comforting. What did you do in the school before the war? What's your title exactly? I don't think we ever had a ceremonial office for the instructor most dedicated to diddling the students. Oh, come off it. You enjoyed that privilege as much as I did. Besides, they listen more closely if you make them feel special. Wow. Fuck you. What the hell, man? Both of you suck. Provost of Antiquities was the official title. My life's work was a curation of the school's past, the relics, the sermons of the occulted Jade, life stories of Tidecaster elders past, that sort of work. A fellow historian. I didn't recognize the Tidecasters gave a care to the historical record. I wonder how your notes would compare to the chronicles of the sages. I'm sure I could fill in countless gaps in your accounting. The Tidecaster glares at Lantry with contempt. A quiet hiss escapes Ebb as she turns to Lantry, a sour expression splashed across her face. Ah, yes, let the historical record note that Lantry takes the hint. Coughing nervously, the sage takes several steps back and falls silent. My personal interest has always been the fluid magics of our school. Most of the school embraces the mighty power of grave light, and I almost can't blame them. For me, water, mist, ice, and fog have always been more immediate, more real, more worthy of understanding. Why didn't the Tidecasters stay and fight Kairos? If I may be so bold to answer your question with a question, what do you think it was? Not many folks seem to know the truth, so I'm curious what one of Kairos' soldiers believes happened. Rational self-interest. The Tidecasters knew Kairos' coming years beforehand and rightly feared death. The sensible guess. We Tidecasters practiced quite deadly magics. One might mightily assume we'd be eager for the excuse to display our martial prowess. Odd then, they would all run and hide, don't you think? The truth is, our Archon lacked the will to resist. Scores of Tidecasters craved war, but lost heart at the notion of facing the enemy without occulted Jade leading the charge. Enough, I don't wish to revel in the cowardice of the Tidecasters. I made my decision to stay. I'm not pretending I'm some brave hero, but at least I'm trying to hold on to some little port in the store. Ugh. His voice doesn't hurt, but it is effort. They're like the voice I use for Kills in Shadow, that can hurt occasionally, but it's like it feels like I rub there higher up. This one here, I'm just like, instead of using the back of throat, it's just a little bit forward, and it really puts the gravel in. It's actually like there's effort. I feel like these muscles are a little tired, but they're not hurting. How do you purify the water? Like, and for main characters, Slam Shadows and Monhas, it's actually I generally don't put on a voice at all because I can say a lot of words in their voice. It's impossible to convey the intricacies, but suffice it to say, I must infuse water with grave light energy. This, combined with trace amounts of alcohol and beastman blood, counteracts the mortifying effects of the old wall's water. See that look in your eye. Worry not, the beastmen willingly gift these vital fluids when they can. It's a tiring process, but it produces clean, restorative water. Jaspos's product is an amateur's imitation and will never sustain this place in the long run. That's why I've taken on Insipid Monica as my apprentice, to safeguard this process, and unlike most, she knows just when to stay out of my way. What should I know about Jaspos? His eyes glaze over at the mention of his rival's name. Ugh. If only that rock pounder would just shut up. He loves the sound of his own voice. He grips the roping on his waist, squeezing it with a clenched fist. Unfortunately, his forge is on the upper level, so his soliloquies flow down here to ensure my misery. His place has better acoustics than the Academy of Tides, lucky me. He thinks because he can cleanse the water, not as well as I do, mind you, that he can pontificate at all hours of the day. I nearly drowned myself once rather than listen to one of his tirades, but I knew the moment my body was discovered, he'd be raining another righteous speech about cowardice down upon my corpse. That wouldn't do. Look, I'll say it plain. Jaspers has a big mouth, and he talks incessantly about transforming Bastard's wound into something great. But the truth is, he's just out for himself. He slams his staff into the ground, mouth quivering as he speaks. I built this place from nothing, and he thinks he can come in and claim it when the hard work has already been done. Not on my watch. I heard a beastman here once held sway. He cocks an eyebrow. Reef Talon. Curious case, that one. She poured away into these caves a year ago with her cubs. A vicious fighter for certain. Bane of the Bane, I like to say. She took charge of the tribe and had a curious way about her. Most fascinating beast I'd ever met. Oddly pensive, strangely polite. Prone to bathing.
Speaks nonsense. Cowed and submissive by the sound of it.
There. And it always feels like if I just practice it more often, it's like a tickle that says that section of your voice isn't used often enough. If you practice it, it'll stop doing this. So I'm so tempted to just keep going.
This Reef Talon sounds like mewling bulwark, not proper alpha.
Bulwark, the ranking second in command of a beast tribe, a position often held by the most savage of beast women. The Bulwark's primary responsibility is to enforce all order and obedience within the tribe and carry out the primus commands. In the smaller structure of a pack, the Bulwark performs these duties in loyalty to the Alpha. Things really got unusual when, after a bloody dust-up with the Bane, Reef Talon healed some other members of the patrol with her touch. Can't say heal with a straight face. Those who had their wounds tended by Reef Talon felt spectacular for a few days, but by week's end a whole host of new maladies overtook them. Reef Talon was a mystic? She claimed she wasn't. I'd never known a beast to downplay her strengths, but sure as water's wet, she could mend wounds with a mere touch, so she must have had some training. I haven't seen what her healing did. Hindsight tells me why she would be hesitant to discuss her mystic training. Perhaps trained by fool for a mystic. Why else would beast women hide such strengths? A true mystic wears power proudly, does not viper slither in obsequiousness. What sort of problems happen to those who are healed? It started subtle, really. Folks treated by Reef Talon just slept a little less each night. At first claiming they felt too hale and hearty to sit in bed. Later they'd be exhausted from days spent waking, yet unable to sleep. The old Tidecaster shifts his weight with a sigh. And after days of being sleepless, other things would start to go. Tempers, memories, worst of all, if you could work sigils, lost the talent. Imagine spending an afternoon listening to Jaspers droning on about the virtues of pulverizing stone. You'd be frustrated and exhausted, somewhat murderous in intent, but for some reason, you can't sleep. Night turns to day, which turns to night. We took to calling those affected, not afflicted. We took to those calling the affected the sleepless and warned others of what became from those cured by Reef Talon. What became of Reef Talon? If you span back, a patrol of disfavored were in the mountains. The surging areas struck by Cairn's magic, so they said. Well, they stumbled upon our refuge, and being disfavored was shocked and appalled not just by our squatting in the old walls, but by the beastmen living with us. If you even deferred to Reef Talon during the parley, and seeing humans look to a beast woman was rather appalling to those iron thugs. The meeting quickly turned violent. Man leads beast, not the other way around. Such things should not require an explanation.
Their beasts are strong and should lead humans. Agreed, this is not usual way of this.
We bested a disfavored.
But Reef Talon fled during the altercation. I guess a combination of guilt from warping her fellows with magic and a feeling of shame that her presence roused her disfavor to attack us. I have no proof, but I think Reef Talon fled to save us from her. There's plenty of folks who hate her, but I, for one, don't think her actions were ever malicious. Protecting this place is all she cares about. She probably realized she had to go to save us all. Regardless of her specific motivation, I'm certain she fled deeper into the old walls, not topside. Someone claimed she dove into the water. Another claimed she accessed a teleporter. Either way, she hasn't been into the village since it has favored her arrival. If anyone can survive the depths of the old walls alone, it's Reef Talon. That said, she's been gone a while now. I'm not sure I'd wager money on her survival to date.
What happened to the Sleepless?
When Reef Talon fled, almost all the Sleepless went with her. Whether they chased her out of anger or fear of being deserted, I don't know. You might find a few here in the refuge, but most of them have already taken their chances in the depths of the old walls. Eyes Lee, a woman whose life is already marred by the tragedy of wedlock to Jaspers, was the last person healed by Reef Talon. She's still cogent. Who knows how long that'll last, poor woman. The Sleepless grow more detached from reason with each day spent waking. I've imagined most went into the old walls to find death at the talons of a bane. If I lost my ability to rest, my magic was taken from me. I'd probably do the same. That's all for now. Good.
Closes his eyes and returns to his recitation. Well. Decided to deal with the settlement that quickly? Fuck off. We had some more people to talk to. We can also talk to the merchants. Fatebinder, the woman before the cart, greets you evenly. She wears her greying hair pulled back high over fouled livers, her narrow eyes emphasizing the dirty creases above her cheeks. There's not a lot of trade in the wound, and little of that in magical goods. If you need scribbles or mixtures gleaned from our forays into the old walls, I'm one to ask. You notice collecting and distributing forbidden lore from the old walls is as serious a crime as settling in them, right? Well, I'm fucked either way, aren't I? She shrugs. Don't worry, Binder. I wouldn't go selling to someone who wasn't a court luminary such as yourself. Let's say we have an offer. Sure thing. Here's what we've scrounged up. 70. Fuck, this is so expensive. I already know that, which is good. Already know that, which is good too. Cerulean scales. Conductive. Shock damage on hit. Jesus, that's pretty good. Talk to Melita. Well, 10 scrolls. Quest completed, the ones that got away. Sweet. Okay, well, let's sell some shit then. Exceptional sigil or precise. Wait, 10? No, I don't need 10 of them. Jimbles. Yeah. It's kind of funny that I immediately... 9 great axe. Okay, the value, high to low. It's unique, not unique. Isn't this fascinating? You love it, right? Senses grip, charred and kindling. Well, it's pretty great. We should, Jesus. Looks of finesse. When did I get that? Not unique. Not unique. Not unique. Not unique. We're finally selling a bunch of shit that we've had for quite some time. Diamond. I feel like I want to keep these in case they're used in like ingredients. Sold to a merchant as spare parts. Just in case the other, like these gems are used in crafting or enchanting, it's entirely possible. Already know we can sell these, the ones we already know. Look at that. Well done, everybody. Okay, that should do. 2 iron rings. Oh, accessory that gives shock damage on hit. Is this? Yeah, like, I think clearly we've got to have it. Tidecaster. Got any other accessories? Well, you don't need that. That's fine. Plus 10 parry. Okay, cool. Yeah, we'll take it. No. I like games where you can adjust your inventory while playing. There you go. Because some games you can't. I'm playing Kingdom Come Deliverance right now. And you can't adjust your equipment in crafting, and it makes it kind of annoying. Precise action. Precise action. Poor. That's very specific. It's now for like one of these. Unravel Minds. Also make it really accurate. Precise action. 4. Stunning and dazing them. Exactly. Accuracy plus 60. Rostrum Link. Fatebinder, formal nobleman hops on his good leg to face you. How is Rostrum Manor destroyed? I suppose my father's optimism was to blame. Before the Overlord's forces even set foot in Bastard Tyr, my father invited Tyrsmen of all persuasions into these walls to resist Kairos. Didn't matter who you were. Once the Tyr fell, Khan arrived to make an example of my family. That monster sundered the whole damn mountain along with my home. My family was killed by the very walls meant to protect them. I was the luckiest, merely pinned by the stone column I clutched as the floor heaved from Khan's onslaught. His maimed arm quivers from some unknown exertion. Eventually, a single finger extends downward and points at his right leg, heavily scarred and bent at an unnatural angle. Our fighting days are done, Fatebinder, even if I hate the Overlord more than ever. Tell me about yourself and Rostrum House. I think you're well acquainted with the manor and its grounds at this point. My father's legacy and my inheritance reduced to rubble and ash. They call it the Shattered Bastion. He runs his fingers across his eyes, tracing the dark circles that ring them. Rostrum House is but a memory now. Prior to Kairos' arrival, we were a successful merchant family with roots that extended from Zeus' capital to Arden's coasts. My father never married, but that didn't stop him from asserting control over these lands. Tearsman lawns be damned, and all that remains of his 3 heirs. What do you do here, personally? Shouldn't you be leading the settlement? Is this a face worthy of leadership? He snorts, running his hands through unruly hair. No, I like my father's ambition. I've seen where it leads. Besides, I have little to offer these folks beyond a memory of more optimistic days. He rubs a thick scar running down his arm. My father would be enraged if he saw me today, pacing the mushroom beds or leading swine to slaughter. His life may not be worth much, but it's something at least. It's highly unusual for your father to claim land ownership. He didn't cleave to tradition. I'm sure that passing women the land and stuffing men aboard the ships made sense when our ancestors needed cleaner lines of inheritance. Men drown so women can wear the crown, as they say. My father never set foot in water. Goes to show how you can overcome any eccentricity if your coffers are full of rings. They speak more persuasively than you or I ever could. Merchant Pelagia. Do you have some cool stuff for me too? Greetings, Fatebinder. I think I speak for all the Forgebound when I thank you for your graciousness in regard to our little community. We don't normally barter for our weapons and armors, but for a person such as yourself, I'll gladly make an exception. Would you care to browse our works, or was there something else I could help you with? What can you tell me about Bastard's Wound? I never expected to be making a home in the old walls, that's certain, but between our efforts and Master Jasboss's guidance, we built of this place something like a home. I figured to find a better solution for the water issue. Nothing against Wagstaff, but he has my admiration as a community founder. But being the first settler and being first among settlers are 2 wholly different things. Let's see what you have on offer. I think you'll be impressed, Fatebinder. Even with limited resources available in the wound, the Forgebound craft the finest creations in all of Taratus. Gorthrust! No. I'm okay. Tenderizer. Well, it's strictly better than what I'm currently wearing. Masterwork heavy armor. Jeez. Literally nothing else magical. Master, like exquisite quality. Bronze ingot? Iron ingot. Colossus extract. Spire infirmary and proper materials. I've got lots of bronze rings. I've currently got a lot of bronze rings, right? Currently. Merchant Civic. Well, I don't know why that's worth so much, but we don't need it. I have 15 already. Will I need more? Probably. If I overcommit now, I'm asking for trouble. So let's just grab a few iron ingots. You know? Cool. New spire infirmary. Yeah, that's the idea. Gore thrust. Do I replace his forge bound hammer? 17 to 23. Recovery 1. Praying. Bonus damage every health. Weapons. That's quite an improvement. What do you use one-handed? Iron javelin. One-handed and throw. 15 to 23. If I put that, I'm going to put the tenderizer on Barrack. Yeah, there you go. That's better. That's better than putting it on Monhas. He doesn't really need a main weapon. And now he'll stop throwing a javelin. Fate Binder, you've returned. No, you're fine now. I want to talk to that apprentice with the silly name. Wibbly wobbly, wibbly wobbly. I will not let them fall. Insipid moniker. Welcome to a little refuge, Fatebinder. You here to keep a wound clear of bane? Insipid moniker picks at a splotch of dried blood on her greaves. She wears a patchwork armor of a scarlet fury. Are the bane constantly showing up like that? Welcome to a headache. The way the bane come and go, you'd think the teleporters were beaded curtains. Lucky for us, the beasts seem to love killing Bane. They'll put in more hours than sentry duty than any human. I welcome the extra sleep. What's through that portal? That goes deeper into the untamed old walls. We sent patrols out to sharpen the beast's claws and lighten the numbers of Bane, but we haven't exactly mapped it. How'd you get that name? Funny story, that. She frowns. There's a piece of advice they should give every new chorus conscript, but don't. Ha! Verse belts abruptly before clapping a hand over her mouth and swallowing further chuckles. Somebody made the mistake of asking the voices for a nickname, didn't she? She snickers as she shakes her head. Oh, you poor, pathetic fool. You actually asked the voices for a nickname? You know the Archon's an artist of suffering, don't you? I could have been shits for days or bleeding sores if I waited long enough. Even hindsight would be more appropriate. What do you do here exactly? Whatever Wagstaff wants. Guess you can call me an apprentice. I can read, which is more than most can say. He's teaching you our ways? I'm sorry you have a fool for a teacher, but you've been given a great honor. Do not squander it. It's more subtle than the red work of the chorus, but I don't mind the change of pace. So the blue is to honor Wagstaff. Exactly. Fucker iced half my gang with his spells, so now I fight for him. Those are the rules. In a twisted way, I think the voices would approve. Not that his approval is any safer than his wrath. I'll be going now. And she wanders off. Okay. Merchant Anaxios. If you're wall smart, shop wall smart. That's what I always say. He clears his throat. Also, this is wall smart. Welcome. I'm working on cries to drive custom. What do you think? Sounds good. You've almost got it. Thank you kindly, friend. And they say fate binders don't have a sense of humor. I stock the sable furs and purchasings you can expect from a jewel merchant at Haven Value, all in the comfort of the old walls. Let's see what we have on offer. As you wish, we're the cheapest in the wound. Imperator's old walls, regalia. Scandalous. Immunity descended. What religion ridicules Imperator Thesenax, a likely mystic northern warlord who swore the invisible armor he purchased from an adventurous raider of the old walls could protect him from any and all harm. Those who suggested he'd been swindled were publicly fed to sharks. While Thesenax may never have existed, his armor certainly does. Probably. Unarmored, immunity disunded, scanless, 20% affliction duration. Light armor, nude. 3% deflection, but no armor on it. Yeah, no, I'm good. Put it on Lantry. That's pretty funny. Gloom of Dawn. Good day to you, Fatebender. Let me be the first to tell you that all my licenses are well in order, signed and sealed this very year. He swipes a layer of perspiration from his brow and chuckles nervously. No reason at all to ransack my cart or confiscate my goods. I trade in whatever I can get my hands on these days. Care to have a look? Let's see if we have an offer. Just this way. Sick. Done. Let's have some waking death. Oh, jeez, okay. It's pretty fucking good, actually. Eat this mushroom. Wake up again if you die. This is so good just to have. Remarkably increases the strength of a spell. So, for example, let's just go fire and then set something on fire and then Sigil of Strength 5. Oh, that's cool. Just 19 to 36 compared to 12 to 23. Bam! Also, 75 lore is quite a lot, actually. Mantle of Flames can mean... Oh, we can't. Oh, yeah, okay, cool. I'll update it. Make that a little bit stronger. So cool. Literally everyone... Yes. Oh. Cyclical energies. Take it off. Oh, I still can't do it. God damn it. Too strong. Reduce the range and reduce the cyclical energies. Well, it's a close range, but it heals 57% of someone's health. That's actually less useful than a shorter cooldown, isn't it? Casting more often for a lesser amount. Anyway, that sounds like tactical thinking, and we don't do that here. So, let's find... I'm just looting all your shit. We find something we really... Tell us, Sophia. You okay? If we find something we really want and we don't have the rings for it, like, I can sell a bunch of this shit. Having a good time, I'm sure. A broad-shouldered woman in disfavored raiment dangles against the nearby columns, suspended by her wrists. Though still garbed in the iron breastplate of her unit, she is without helmet and appears unusually at ease in her compromised position. Nearby sailor engages in friendly conversation with the disfavored. She peers down at him, listening with dutiful patience. Ah! Kinky girl, well done. Like that? I mean, she's not... The captions censored kinky? Calm down. Jesus. Alright. Also, maybe she's in for a bit of a holiday-appropriate roleplay. This bread is of my body. Anyway. The last lure hooked that trout just fine, but it took the whole thing downstream with it when the knot gave out. I rapped the line several times, just as he said. You aren't fibbing me, are you, Sophia? What stays your hand, Fatebinder? We must right this injustice immediately. What is this soldier's crime? Huh? Oh, it's hardly my place to say. Far be it from me to posture like I'm a leader or lawbringer. This settler seems amused just to be consulted. Looks like you have company. Talk later, Sophia. The settler turns to you, wearing an uncertain smile. Good hunting, then. As the settler turns away, the bound soldier takes note of your approach. Tell us, Sophia, to find you in this cesspool of traitors. He shakes his head. Worry not, we shall release you from this bondage at once. She hasn't safe-worded Barrack. Calm the hell down. You're allowed to enjoy it when they're enjoying it, even if their enjoyment is going, oh no. Like, that's part of the game. Wait, who the... Barrack, is that you? No, please, leave me be. I'm sworn by duty to slay these fools and sworn by honor to see to their safety. It is easy to have no choice in the matter. You'd rather stay up there? Even if you set me free, I'm too hungry to fight. It's the only thing I'd have the mind to do. The time will come when I can free myself, and I'll grab the opportunity with both hands. She clenches her pale fingers into fists. I'd salute an officer of the court, but I'm somewhat indisposed at the moment. How'd you end up on that column? A few span back, after Ken was finally declared rogue, the general wanted folks out looking for what made Ken lose his sanity, or his loyalty, depending on your outlook. My unit played escort for a team of Earthshakers as they retraced Ken's journey through the tears. We were headed to the Gates of Judgment and came across Gravas, which happened to be, well, she gestures upward with her head. A middle-aged woman walks by while clutching a woven basket, giving Telesphera away, that his favorite soldier nods in return. Good day, Lucia. She watches the passing settler before returning her attention to you. You sure seem to be on good terms with the locals. They're rather lovely folk, despite all of them being Kairos mocking scum deserving of slow deaths. She attempts a limited expression of a shrug. Where was I? We paused to investigate only to find this nest, this hive, trespassers living with beasts as equals, all of it an abomination. There was no choice but to put them to the sword. We fought well, but our advance fell apart when the coward Argain threw up his arms and surrendered. He broke ranks. The lift is exposed. If I hadn't been knocked senseless, I would have executed him myself. Look, I'm hoisted up on this wall, and I've been here ever since. How are you still alive? Graveyard Arch protects. The General's aegis can sustain us through far more trying circumstances. She maneuvers her shoulders in a dim approximation of a salute. My wrists are mangled, and I've been tired and hungry for longer than I can remember, but I'm far from death's door. The settlers feed me just enough to keep going. She glances down at her dirt and crusted armor. I'm sure I smell worse than a beastman dung heap, though. Why don't the settlers just execute you? They have, in a sense. The beastwoman leader of the local pack ordered that I be strung up until dead. Guess she didn't understand Ash's aegis, so who's laughing now? Nobody wants to anger the resident bane hunters, so the beasts must have their way. I've had plenty of time to get acquainted with the locals while I perish. It's almost a pity they're all doomed at the Kairos. I must be going. That's really funny to me. To me, that's really funny.
A forge bound in the old walls seems a nerve-wracking place to work.
A forge bound in this hole? Surely they cannot outfit the Legion from here.
I've always appreciated forges. There's music in their craftsmanship.
A man clad in the frayed fragments of his Earthshaker uniform focuses intently upon dark stones held in cupped hands. His eyes move from one piece to the next. He hears your footsteps and shifts his gaze to meet yours. Fatebinder. Excuse me, I didn't see you. Jaspers has me performing these exercises to attune my senses, to see shapes hidden within the rock. Flustered, he quickly tugs on the hem of his shirt and straightens his belt. I may not be with the disfavored anymore, but I still recognize the Fatebinder's authority. Is there something you need from me? How does an Earthshaker end up in this company of this motley? I'm the odd man out, I know. He motions to his purple-grey garments. After Ken had been declared a criminal, Gravenash charged us with scouring the Archon's belongings and retracing his path. I was with the group headed to the Gates of Judgment. As we cut west across these mountains, we came upon this place. Of course, my association to Ken didn't make me popular with the Legion. Telesphera was all too eager to remind me that if Ken's treachery were ever to come to light, all Earthshakers would likely be executed for assumed collusion. So you'll forgive me if, after stumbling upon Bastard's Wound and facing insurmountable odds in battle, I decided to surrender rather than join my hateful companions in death. What do you think of Bastard's Wound? I find myself at home here, even if everything about the old wall seems antithetical to life. If the Bane don't kill you, the water will. That Jasper, this place couldn't exist. His eyes moved from the churning water to the massive stone wall stretching towards the sky. The old walls have always been invigorating spaces for mages of my ilk. They're like the untapped fonts of magical energy. From the ancient masonry, inspiring. What was life like to the people who shaped these massive walls? He shrugs, amused. You speak well of Jaspos. Jaspos is many things: teacher, husband, companion. Argane's gaze turns thoughtful. He's teaching me to connect with stone in a deeply personal way. Earthshakers manipulate rock, but we don't feel or shape them with the intimacy of the Forgebound. I'll talk to you later. We still haven't found Jaspos. Like the Forgebound enclave at Lethian's Crossing, it seems these craftsmen have hewn and set the stones of the old walls into admirable hearth. Do you think Jaspos is here? Jaspos, master of napping. That's K-N-A-P-P. It's certainly I think it's a term to do with forging, is like folding over the tang of, I'm not sure. But we'll find out, and we'll be able to know just how wrong I am. With a despondent sigh, the forge-bound smith unfastens the strap around one of her pauldrons and drops the metal appendage to the floor, exposing a muscular figure. She quickly traces a sigil with her ungloved hand and touches a hammer dangling from her smock, frowning as it stubbornly remains inert and unsympathetic to her magical entreaties. She glances up as you approach. Sorry, Fatebinder. My spellcraft hasn't been cooperative of late. I take it you're not here to talk about my preoccupations. Anything in particular you'd like to discuss? She offers a forced, polite smile, but can't maintain it for more than a moment. What happened earlier with the hammer? I was embarrassing myself again. Seems like that's my only reliable talent these days. Her cheeks grow flushed as she looks to the ground. I thought I was a competent napper, practically a journeyman in skill. Lately, even the simplest preparatory spells vex me, like that sorry display you witnessed. She raises her eyes to meet yours. Something about this place is hollowing me out from the inside. Whatever forge burns inside grows cold. Let's not speak any more of it. You're becoming one of the sleepless, aren't you? I think I am. Started when I broke my hand under the mallet. Rookie mistake. I have brief talent to heal it. Things have gone sour ever since. Can't sleep. Can't summon a sigil to save my life. Worst of all, She lowers her hand down to her stomach, frowning as she thinks better of saying more. I don't know how much time I have left. I just want to enjoy whatever last moments I have with Jaspos. What do you do in the forge? I'm Jaspos's apprentice. I have been so for the last few years. She scoops up a small clay pot and spins it between her fingers. Napping wasn't originally my specialty. I apprenticed under Master Erasma back in Lethian's Crossing, but a freak accident meant she'd take her secrets out of ceramic arts to the void. Jaspos had just finished his work and was returning north for more training with the guild, so I joined him. Long story short, we stumbled upon the wound and stayed. I took on a new trade with Jaspos as my mentor. You enjoy working for Jaspos? I do. Jaspos introduced me to napping, and it came easier than pottery, my first craft. If we hadn't fallen in love and married, I might have returned to the north and stayed in Kairos' good graces. She slowly nods, as if recalling a long-forgotten memory. I will take my leave. Todve? The forge-bound apprentice stares intently at the amber hide he holds aloft, pounding its surface methodically with a heavy iron mace. The light from the nearby hearth dances across his eyes. As you draw closer, the pungent odors of tanning agents thickens in the air. He turns to you, wearing a stoic expression. Is there a problem? You need something? What's your role in the settlement? This is my third year apprenticing under Jaspos. Between that and trying to keep the settlement running, I'm never short on work. He flicks a chunk of animal fat from his belt buckle and glances around the chamber, frowning. Whenever I can, I slip away to the surface with a wound kin for a good hunt. Caves and hollows aren't meant for the living. I get my materials for the kill. From the kill. Tusks for tools, hide for sturdy clothing. The rest goes to tents, cots, and we haven't even gotten down to the meat. The wound kin, they understand it better than we do. I suppose I'm also a napper. Jaspos has to pass down his art, right? But everyone knows my passion and skill is in tanning. How's apprenticing for Jaspos been? Difficult. Dire mistake, man. I pledge to follow him. My loyalty doesn't waver, but I damn well wish we would return to the North as planned. Instead, I'm stuck inside these old walls, surrounded by Bane and branded a traitor in Kyrus's eyes. He scrapes a worn knife against a whetstone dangling from his belt. Jaspers didn't like my interest in leatherwork. I think he saw it as an insult to his craft. If I favored it so much, I should have sought a apprenticeship with the Master of Tanning, right? Well, consider that another thing I'd planned to do, had we returned north. Truth is, people need my skill with hides and pelts far more than my attempts at napping. Every time I clothe or feed someone and they thank Jaspers, he has less and less to say about it. Now that Argane's apprenticing with him, I think he's content to let me dabble in tanning. I'll talk to you later. Alright, Tonvis. Interesting. Alright, we've explored a lot of this area. Let's have a brief chat with a master of napping, and we're not deciding the fate of the... We got, like, I believe he'll likely give us a side quest. We'll go do that, go do Tidecaster side quest, go find the beast woman in the old walls. Why would we not do that? A heavily muscled man stands next to a mixed pile of broken floor tiles and smashed boulders. Head bent in focus, sledgehammer gripped tightly in both hands. Without breaking his gaze, he calmly extends an arm out as you approach, signaling for you to wait. In one smooth motion, he whirls the sledgehammer in a precise arc, effortlessly splitting a large grey-green boulder in two. He smiles and lets out a pleased chuckle before turning to greet you. Ah, Fatebinder. That explains the ruckus. His voice is deep, a confident baritone that easily carries to the open air. Let's try that again, then. Ah, Fatebinder. That explains the ruckus. His voice is deep, a confident baritone that easily carries to the open air. Forgive my rudeness. Masters of the craft rarely break focus if we can help it. Old habit. He smiles broadly, motioning you to come forward. Your arrival is unexpected, but my forge is always open to servants of the court. Word has spread throughout the wound. They say the Fatebinder will permit us to live. I'm sorry you had to experience Wagstaff. If you had spoken to me, we could have settled things without his insults and tantrums, but I am glad an amicable decision was reached all the same. The wound could be a great asset to you in the future, Fatebinder. We've managed well enough on our own, but someone of your prestige could really help us thrive. Few of the time I have a matter that could benefit from your expertise. You may ask, but I make no promises. We don't have the luxury of trading with topside. It could attract the wrong kinds of attention. Instead, we craft what we need. In my case, I can make a wide variety of tools, but I can't make everything. When we were building the forges of Lethion's Crossing, I had access to some of the finest chisels, tappers, abrasives. I carried only my travel kit with me when I found myself here in the wound. I've been able to craft a few replacements, but to my chagrin, I haven't recaptured the craftsmanship. The napping tools needed are rather specialized, and I lose sleep knowing I can't replace anything I break. Since I've been missing, I imagine my tools were appropriated by my colleagues in Lethion's Crossing. Lahara will no doubt know of their whereabouts. With my old tools, I could really stay on top of the work that's needed to keep this place running. I will speak with Lahara. I'm sure this will be a simple matter for you, Fatebinder. Thank you for your assistance. Was there something else you needed? What does the Master of Napping do? Ah, and I shall tell you. He places a hand upon his belt and runs his finger across the many hammers, chisels, and picks draped across his waist, stopping at a simple stone hammer. Masters of napping focus on the fundamentals of all forge work. Before you can make bronze and iron, you need a hot fire in a controlled space. You need a stone forge. He grips his belt firmly, puffing out his chest slightly as he speaks. Give me a few days and I can take a pile of rocks and fashion proper stone hammers and tools. Give me a few weeks and I can use those tools to build a worthy forge. And with that forge, I can create anything you'll ever need. Stonework is the purest form of our craft. Civilization would be reduced to ashes, and a master of napping would be the one to reforge it. Okay, so I was straight up very wrong. It's not about folding a type of metal over. It's, probably working with stone. I can't believe I actually have to, like, literally Google it to get an exact answer for all of you. Napping. prehistoric craft of shaping brittle, high silica stones like flint, obsidian, or shirt into sharp tools, weapons, or arrowhead by fracturing them through controlled percussion or pressure. Right. Neat. And I'm glad I'm doing the booming voice thing now before Baby K has a nap. Nap. What do you do here is one of the wound's leaders. I don't look the part, I know. But most of my guild huddled by the heat of their forges and sick to themselves. Here I think of my forge as more of a hearth. Everyone is invited to share in its warmth. In a practice motion, he unfastens a rag looped around his belt and wipes off trace amounts of sweat from his already spotless brow. Perhaps that's better. Obviously, I work the forge. In a place like this, that means everything. Those bridges you see? My handiwork. The knives and weapons everyone's carrying? They came from my forge. The nails holding our containers together and keeping our shelters upright? Mine again. But most importantly, I created these stone sieves to clean the water. He pats one of the open stone receptacles, pride evident in his voice. First of its kind. None too soon. When I came here, many were sick with the withering rot. The disease is in the water. The terrible way to go. But these sieves changed things. How do the stone sieves work? Trade secrets, I'm afraid. He pauses for dramatic effect. Except for members of the court. It's really a matter of using the right combination of enchanted stones, pulverized charcoal, and a few precious stones in a precise arrangement. These materials act as the sieve in these containers. He points towards the base of one of them, drawing your attention to water dripping out of a small opening and into a collecting bowl. Anything that comes out of there is free of the disease. Now, this place isn't exactly bursting with precious stones, so I had to devise a substitute. Beastman claws and teeth, when properly prepared, have the properties I need. Since they'll regrow over time, I've been able to collect donations from our many warriors. I do prefer using stone whenever possible, though. Tell me about Tidecaster Wagstaff. You should know that Wagstaff and I aren't on the best of terms. He's old and set in his ways. I've tried, believe me. I've reached out, invited him to share my fire and talk like men, but he's the sort that prefers his own company and ideas. He doesn't seem to care about people the way I do. In fact, I think he views us as irritants one must endure. That sounds like the Wagstaff I remember. Apologies for what you must be going through. He sighs loudly, shaking his head with an exasperated smile. He does help the wound, I'll grant him that, cleansing water with his magic. His methods are different than mine, of course, far slower. He thinks his contributions are more valuable since they can combat disease. A valuable tool for certain. But without the volume of water produced from my stone sieves, this settlement would die in a span. In the end, he just refuses to accept that his role has changed. He helped the wound get its bearings years ago, but being the first does not make one qualified to lead. He hates that people have responded to me, and has been blinded by that. What do you know about reef talent? He holds a bowl of crushed rock aloft, squinting to examine its contents as he speaks. So you've heard. It's unfortunate what happened to her. Reef Talon arrived a year after I did. Massive creature, one of the largest beasts I've ever seen. She never spoke of her past much, but we knew she was in flight when she stumbled upon the wound with her cubs. He pulls a fragment out of the bowl, running it slowly between his fingers. Whatever she fled from, it didn't stop her from devouring the bane. She was good at it, good enough to lead the beastmen, but Reef Talon had something else far more important. She could heal others with a mere touch. Didn't matter if you'd been raked by the bane or fell on your own sword. She could close up your wounds and send you on your way like nothing ever happened. That is no ordinary magic. How did she do this? I don't think she knew herself. She wasn't a student of her craft, not even using beastman mystics as a standard. What I do here, that's not an accident. It's years of controlled study and meticulous perfection. Reef Talon simply acted on instinct. That didn't work to anyone's benefit. With a dissatisfied shake of his head, he flicks the unwanted chip into the water. Sometimes we're better off without such miracles. Those Reef Talon healed slowly became sick. It became impossible for them to sleep, even when exhausted. And the relentless waking drove them mad. The affliction takes a while to fully take hold, but the end result is always the same. Even worse, those bestowed with magic slowly lose their gifts. He looks towards the forge, a pained expression visible on his face. Now they're just known as the Sleepless. All of their life and vitality robbed and spent. A terrible end, Fatebinder.
Reef Talon couldn't face her mistakes, and she fled into the old walls like a coward. He circles around the platform, speaking as much to a passerby as with you. And to think that many here saw her as a leader. What leader runs in the face of adversity? Those of us that remain, we are the ones that continue to hold up bastards' wound. I toil every day to keep the fires of my forge running, and the people who can see who they truly rely on. Nearby onlookers shout and pump their fists in support, eliciting a raised fist from the forgeman master in turn. This guy sucks. Just described as loves the sound of his own voice? Yeah, absolutely. And the attention that it brings. How do you deal with Bane? In case you haven't noticed, the beastmen with us aren't your common feral savages. Something about this place focuses them. Whether they come as workers or on their own, they all eventually become fixated on the Bane. I've seen some hunched over guarding our borders for hours. If any Bane comes through, they'd savage them instantly. But apart from the Bane, our beastmen aren't violent. Strange, but welcome. He scratches his chin in thought. I have no explanation. We never asked the beastmen to act as our sentries. They took it on naturally, and have never complained. We do lose some to injury, but so far their defense has worked. Farewell. Safe journeys, Fatebinder.
Can't do that.
Jesus Christ. Both of these leaders suck in different ways. Oh, I hate people. They're all jerks. Compared and contrasted to, oh, I love it when people give me attention. I'm the most important person in the world, right? Ugh. Holy shit. So Logan, thanks for all your stuff. Denizen. Cool. The you must gather your party before venturing forth is it's probably not the oldest joke in video gaming, but it's certainly one of the most recurring and beloved ones. Like Bastard's Wound Farm. Maybe there. Insipid, Monica, Wagstaff, Denizen, Domicile. And then we're going like Just Boss. No, come back. Honestly, I want you larger. I want to go into the old walls. Go do some combat because we've been playing for roughly an hour and 15 minutes and I've just read text. Tyranny! Oh, yeah. Just in case you were wondering, we got both Willow and Cleric Bard away for a week and a half. That's why they're not joining us. They'll have to watch the VODs to know that we're caring about them and hoping they're having an excellent holiday. Buster's Wind Farm? That might be the only way. No. I want to break into the old walls, damn it. Come on, let me in. You must gather your party before venturing forth. Alright, Baldur's Gate 1. Jeez.
Ain't that odd?
Yoink. Torrential water plummets down from the jagged openings in the old walls above, turned by their passage through ancient tunnels. Ancient tunnels. A cool mist brushes your face, smelling faintly of dust and decay.
Do we have time to do a survey of the flora? For research purposes, of course.
I wonder how many people had to die until they figured out which type of mushrooms were safe to eat.
Greens, mushrooms, nursery. How long do they intend to be down here?
Water runs sterile. Little sunlight. Yet beasts and humans have coaxed plant from seed and soil. His mystic trick.
I hate farms, but I like pigs. We had a real fat one back in the Apex camp at Gold Stone Shield. I wonder where that pig is now.
What is that smell?
Actually, don't tell me.
Spoop! Chard, nashroot, charlock, and tubers all flourish in this noisome soil, despite growing deep within the old walls. Baybinder, she bows deeply. Welcome to the Wounds Farm, only source of food within the old walls. Wait, but you never imagined anything like this down here, did you? You look like you've got questions in need of answers. You run this farm? That I do. Since shortly after we arrived here, I may have been a mercenary up top, but down here I developed into quite the farmhand. She chuckles. I turn the soil, hole up fertilizer, even sing to the plants. I've near grown to love this farm like it's my own child, except unlike a child, the farm feeds me. This farm feeds the whole community. Near enough. Quillith gathers some stuff from topside on occasion, but most people get their food from here. We got a whole host of vegetables, and the mushrooms down here turned out to be tastier than anything grown in shit has any right to be. Got pigs, too, for the occasional feast day. I keep everything orderly and efficient. One slip up and we're talking months on tight rations at best. These crops can be real particular about the kind of water they like. Give them too much, too little, the wrong kind, and next thing you know, they're limp and brown. It's normal for plants to be so picky about their water. Given that it normally falls randomly out of the sky, I doubt it. Well, every plant is different, but the water situation down here is real touchy. Jasper's filters work for the topside plants, and it's more or less what they're used to. Those stone jugs of his get rid of whatever makes people sick while keeping them in the nutrients my veggies need. Give that water to the mushrooms, though, and they stop glowing. And they shrivel up. It's no good for anything. No idea why. I figure the topside nutrients kill them. Wagstaff's water is about as pure as it gets, though, and the mushrooms take to it just fine. Ha! So you need both of them. Well, well, well. Tears went great bow. It's worth 42 rings. Compared to... Oh, hell yeah. Rats on the upgrade doll face. Lunat. Howdy, Fatebinder. To be honest, I didn't expect a courtly type like you to show up in this piss hole. Well, I tell you had better things to do than check up on a few wilting greens growing in beast shit. What can I do for you? How'd you end up in the wound? I came in, 2 years back with a free blade marauder. Been in the wound ever since. Who or what is a free blade marauder? Nothing but the finest of the many fine mercenary groups out of the free cities. There's the Free Blades, the Housebroken Regions, a few others. Aren't the Bronze Brotherhood out of the free cities? Brotherhood? These fucking fucks can go fuck themselves. Especially that Roteman, whatever his fucking name is. What a huge cock. And crazy as a beastman raised on batshit. One of these days he'll lose his head to one of his own people. You mark my fucking words. Good guess, but I got to him first. Good riddance. Well, like I said, somebody was bound to do it. What do you do around the farm? Well, we used to have patrol out in the ruins, keeping the entry of any unwanted visitors with Hillstrider and her crew. About a year ago, though, my damn fool husband didn't pull out in time, the wound found itself with another mouth to feed. Of course, the worthless bastard went and got himself torn to pieces fighting pain, so I'll be attending crops, letting my sword arm go to waste so the kid doesn't grow up an orphan. Don't get me wrong, he's a good kid for a babe, and just damn glad he's out of me. Taco's got me in vegetable duty, which suits me just fine. Don't know if it's some post-pregnancy bullshit or something, but these creepy glowing mushrooms and make me want to lose my lunch and dinner. She glances toward Tycho. She's been hovering more than usual of late. Like she thinks I'm slacking off. Oh well. Lunat, I think she's just caring for you. Faint illumination from the sky above limns the jagged edges of the fractured old walls overhead. Far below, you can make out the sound of flickering dots of torchlight marking the wound community. Ocean Fury. Smooth blue fur frames his massive beastwoman's flat face, her blunt snout wrinkling as she sniffs at you. Her skin, in those spots where you can see it, glistens almost pearlescent. Her upper lip curls back to expose dagger-sharp teeth. Human smells of flame mystic power, of singed fur soot and plume smoke. She snorts, yet looks small and frail like hairless whelp. The beastwoman at your side rises to her full height, chest thrust forward, and snarls at Ocean's Fury. Manta-born dustwoman knows no human who smells of Fatebinder, alpha to kills in shadow, can be forgiven for foolishness once. Fur bristling, Ocean's Fury glowers at kills in Shadow.
Shadow Hunter calls human alpha? Perhaps human strength smells true, or Shadow Hunter gone weak from time away from tribe. For what does human disturb Ocean's Fury's prowling vigil?
I've seen a lot of different beastmen here. How many tribes call the wound home?
One and more than one, like human tribes, but grown stronger in difference.
One and more than one? What does that mean?
One tribe called Woundkin hunts prey in Bastard's Wound. All beast women answer to Woundkin's name. All did look to Reef Talon as primer before Reef Talon left into Old Walls.
What tribes did they belong to before they all became Woundkin?
Ocean's Fury and Reef Talon are Mantaborn, first among tribes.
She draws herself up proudly and thumps a closed paw against her chest.
Mantaborn hunt sea as swift as sharks, range long coasts from stalwart to seed, rule ocean where humans bring no war. West Reefers have fur like rust, range northern lands highest tier, not many days from Wound towards sunset, where humans fear tread, yep.
She seems to consider the tribe.
West Reefers best hunters in grasslands, good hunters in mountains.
She chuffs slightly.
Poor hunters in sea salt. Stone stalkers small, but roam in large packs. Strong mystics know the stone song of earth blood. Good hunters in mountains, not as good in any other place. A few others stalk with Woundkin, Chases Clouds, and Gloom of Dawn, Katfana. Only few left.
What was that about the tribe's differences? Her eyes narrow slightly.
Each tribe knows its hunting grounds best. Mantaborn best swimmers. Small stone stalkers climb quickest. Shadow hunters blend with night and stalk with cunning. Simple.
What do you mean by your prowling vigil?
Ocean's Fury prowls Wound Farm. Hunts Bane with claws and fangs. Drives away trespassers with growls and knuckles.
She points out to the vast gulf to the north.
Old walls split down center like a lightning forked stump. Bane slip across gulf. Ocean's Fury watches always.
I'll be going now. She snorts and nods. Well, well, well. If you were to create racial subtypes for a published role-playing game, sounds like you've got them already set up for the
Do you
beast
have
game.
eyes on this?
Little looks appealing about these rubbery dung-scented mushrooms, yet the settlers of the wound care for them as if they were the finest fruit. Syrian leveled up because Barrick saw something. See you approaching, he straightens up a little. He straightens up to seem a little taller. Wasn't expecting to see a fake fighter down here. Name's Klytos, protector of the farm. Yeah, he announces it like a title. You may have heard of me. I assure you we have not. Nope. Nitro skims a few pages of notes. Not at all. I've already forgotten you. So, you need me for something? Despite his armor, you can tell that he flexes his muscles. Eyes rubbing him appreciatively, Ed leans forward. I can think of some uses for him if you're at a loss. My life is service, he winks. Tell me about yourself, Klytos, protector of the farm. Sunder born and raised. Didn't have much growing up and the sea life wasn't for me, so I took up the blade. Been a warrior ever since. Ran with the House of Broken Regents before we ended up here. What is the House of Broken Regents? Surprised you haven't heard of us. A blessed-bodied mercenary company out of the free cities. Don't let those motherless free-blade marauders tell you different. But they only have crew to have bested those stalwart bastards. Not that I ever admit it. A sour expression briefly mars his features. It's a matter of Sunder pride. The city fought a bloody civil war for independence, in terms of the treaty gave Sunder's independence of Stalwart, in return for public declaration that Stalwart did not lose, so much as neither side won. That's why I and the other children of Sunder smirk a little at the name Unbroken. How do you protect the farm? It ain't obvious, I'm a fighter. A bloody good one, too. It's almost a shame to have me up here on the farm, so far from the Howling Bane. Want me to ask Tycho to reassign you? His eyes widen. Nah, that would be kind of you, but that would leave the farm underguarded. Maybe if it gets too bad down there, sure, but the beastmen seem to have it handled. Claw for claw, he swallows.
Yep, leave Bane. To rip-rending fangs and claws of Mantaborn and West Reefers. Let human of the Broken House tribe wallow in own fierce war.
Tycho has me looking after the mushrooms. She keeps a close eye on everything around here. Bit too close, if you ask me. She's quick to remind me when I cock something up. Used the wrong water on the mushrooms once. She up and decked me. Obviously, I would have blocked it. He chops the air with an open palm, or dodged it. He jukes illustratively to the left. Thought anything like that was coming. He clears his throat. Anyway, I had a black eye for weeks. Not doing that again. No how, no way. I must be going. He watches you go. Things are getting a little weird. Talent point. Guys, we don't have any of those yet. Okay. Obtain extra breath. Just, I think we went all passives except the revive. Yeah. Jesus Christ. Sing two songs at the same time. Fuck, alright. Damage per pitch. Huh. Using speed of a song sounds pretty good. Automatically gains a breath. They're all very good, but I think I need to start getting things in War Tree as well. Pigs.
On
Loo,
it.
pigs. Pig, 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 pig. Old Walls Vault. Well done, everybody. It's nearly break time, my friends. We have thoroughly explored the Bastard's Wound. So I wanted to title this episode Exploring the Bastard's Wound, but the title on Twitch is like probably breaks their terms of service. It's not letting me update it. OBS is just telling me I don't think I can, and I'm like, you're kidding me, right? It's because of the word bastard. Is that right? That's enough. Okay, fair enough. Not at all that I can't. Maybe I can. I'm just not finding it. Um, go into the old walls to help find the missing leader. That seems like a pretty obvious step for the plot to take, right? Have we explored everywhere else? Yeah, right? It's weird. Let's use the big map. Bastard's Wound. The slightly less huge map, maybe. Happening on the job. Tied together. Joke of reconciliation. Mel said the first chronicle is in the farm. Oh, well, we'd better go back up there then. Okay. Oh. Whoops. Yeah, it's like what? I'm like, let me into the old walls. Let me find your missing person, right? Hidden in the old walls. Hidden in the farms area. Okay. Well, until they break time. Okay. Let's not get caught up. Because I will. I absolutely will. Let's just take a break now. I'll see you again in 15 minutes or so. I'll message you if it takes longer than that, okay? You're good.
And we're back. You said it couldn't happen. You said that I would be missing for the rest of the evening, and let me tell you, nearly happened. That took quite a bit of time, but the baby is now asleep. It was at the end of the break that Miss Stitches was like, "Think you could?" I said, "Absolutely. For you? For him? Yeah. No worries. This is passion fruit vodka martini. And it's beautiful." Okay, we were searching these fucking guys for a thing that was hiding. Martini time. Well, yeah, I had passion fruit vodka. I don't have any gin that isn't explicitly Emma Stitches. And I'm sure I could take it, but I'd rather ask for it. And I'm letting her rest. Plus, what's the problem with the passion fruit vodka martini? Nothing.
Sorry, I can't. Can't do that.
Come on, Mercy, you can. Take a running leap. Are we just not spotting the hidden item? Denizen? Told me don't eat mushrooms, and I said, "Them top shot mushrooms you don't eat." And he said, "Mushrooms all the same," and I said, "How they be the same when those..."
Sorry, I
There it
can't.
is. Chronicle of the Sages. Take the Chronicles and Lantry. May study it further. Ah, the old concealed text in a pile of pig shit trick. Classic. As Lantry approaches the corner of the pen, a pile of hay and animal droppings vanishes, replaced by a stash of scrolls. Yeah, and I use raspberries because I had some as garnish because the passion fruit is quite sweet, sure, but I wanted something acidic. Well, not just fruity, but acidic to cut through. And far be it from me to change martini's fundamentals, but honestly, adding some sort of Chambord would be... That would make it extra sweet, and you don't want extra sweet, right? Now here's a subject close to my heart. Histories of the school of ink and quill. Who doesn't love a little order chronicle? Roll calls, minutes, graduation announcements, publication dates, and letters. Oh my, I doubt Sages Corin and Ostrich had any idea their correspondence would be immortalized for our records. Not the most exciting bit of history, but I can see why Mel and XM would want the words of colleagues close at hand. Lantry thumbs through the tome, chuckling with a nostalgic smile at each turn of the page. I take it this brings back memories? Indeed. Some of these notes even have my name on them. Ah, yes, here's my series on bird anatomy. How did that back in 388? The year's gone. Did these notes include the parts where you conspire to steal our magic? A slight cough escapes Lantry's lips, but he offers no reply aside from turning pages. Well, do they? Well, of course they do. Lantry pauses, his eyes stopping to read the text before him. No, they don't. This is about entrapping an old dolt from the School of Wild Wrath, an enemy like the Tidecasters who fight without a written record. I think I'm flattered. Come closer so I can show you my appreciation. Nice try, old hag. Lantry never makes the same mistake 8 times. I know it's also worthless in hindsight, but it is a record of our school, whatever that's worth. I can obsess about these later. We've got other things to do, right? Lantry closes the text and looks up at you with a smile. We can pause. I'll look around while you have a read. How could I say no to that order? With a smug grin, the old sage dives into the texts. Several minutes pass as Lantry pores over the pages. Strange. All the names of dead people. Good riddance to some, others our loss. Kyrus's loss. Anyone you know very well? In a way, all of them. The school was never crowded enough to disappear into anonymity, but as a field scholar of sorts, I was as distant as it gets. He shakes his head with a heavy sigh, lifting his quill from near his shoulder as he does. He puts the quill to his hand and scribbles several circles of sepia. Anything seem incorrect? A relaxed smile sets across his face as Lantry exhales, wiping his sepia-stained hand against his cheek. Oh, this is odd. Let me have a look.
You spot a page inked with a conspicuously glossy sheen, suggesting ink far fresher than the original writing. A minuscule crease along the binding hints at where this page was inserted, likely by magical means, to blend almost seamlessly. The text describes the debate between sages discussing the riddle of rings, and one sage, of the familiar name of Lantry, is arguing that the riddle of rings posits that Kairos has already conquered the Tears. For if the sages speak the language of Kairos, Lantry reasoned, and use the currency of Kairos, and military conquest is as extraneous formality, the riddle of rings. Law check. Every village in the realm has its own local riddles, but you've heard the riddle of the rings as a sort of proverb older mages tell the younger ones, though most forge-bound tell intentionally conflicting details to outsiders, so whatever meaning it has is a bit muddled. You've heard soldiers joke that the riddle of the rings is a saying about the oft-talked-about but probably apocryphal forge-bound stuck with the duty of crafting rings all day. The common jest, the riddle is, how many rings does he make each span, and how many of those does he get to keep? Is this describing a real event? It's, yes, but not exactly as I recall it, though. I have written a lot of ink on myself. It was 425, and Sage Cavill was giving a lecture series, having recently returned from his expedition to observe the Forgebound and their ways. At one point, he discussed their teaching methods. The riddle of rings came up as part of the lecture. At the time, I joked that the real riddle of rings is, aren't we already conquered? I launched a not entirely sober diatribe about Kairos' inevitable invasion and dominion. According to this, I gave a stirring speech met with applause. Hardly. I was hit in the head with an old scroll case and told to sit down, shut up, and let the scholars talk. Actual events vindicated your point of view. Why downplay that fact? Even so, this is not how it happened. It seems worth asking if possibly the chronicle is correct and you are wrong. I can't deny that my old mind is far more fallible than a sworn chronicler. You're right. At my age, a chronicle should refresh my memory, not the other way around. I think my nostalgia has been overtaxed for the time being. Let's get moving. I need to think on this for a bit. Lantry closes the tome, stashing the old book in one of his satchels. Interesting. And kind of touching, too. So, scouting mode. Shit, it's the same as pillars. I should be pressing Alt when trying to find shit. I think it's notable. It's worth mentioning that, like, nearly all of the people, the characters, are exaggerated with just a slight edge that makes them all, like, a little bit stranger. A little bit enough of a character to make them worth, like, engaging with for long periods of time.
Sorry, I can't.
Like, you have strong characters so that they react in strong ways.
Sorry, I can't.
Yes, Murtaugh, I know. Foot. Let's leave the way we came in. I quickly looked it up, but I was then, shortly after, busy with parenting, so I don't remember much of it. I might just look it up here. Come on. Where are you?
Can't do that.
There's a teleporter to the south.
Can't do that.
Okay, stop. Mercer. I'm going to be clicking around. Don't need you to complain constantly about it. Otherwise, we leave and go do side quests. This teleporter doesn't seem to be doing anything? Okay, well. Well, okay. I don't see any other way through. Just its wound. Southernmost by the entrance connects to a segment of fractured depths and hostels. Southernmost by the entrance. Okay, well, that didn't work. Maybe we get out of here. We go to Lethian's Crossing. Shadow Bastion. Lethian's Crossing? Come on, I've had a couple of sips. Why can't I find this place? It's near Sunset Spire. There it is. It's underneath Sunset Spire. After a few hours of difficult travel through an area with dense undergrowth, you happen upon a small stream where you can refill your water skins and watch the sweat from your brow. Nearby, you spot a large copse of narrow trees with leaf-bearing vines coiling around their trunks. As the vines snake upward, dozens of thin, yellowish-green stems spring forth along the plant's cane, some of them stiff and upright, others drooping downwards like long hairs. At the end of these stems, an explosion of bright orange berries radiates outward, ripe and abundant. To your eye, they appear to be bristleberries. They're a very distinctive fruit, nutritious and energizing. They're also, unfortunately, exceedingly similar in appearance to that of bristlebane, a berry that is tolerated by beastmen and animals, but rather toxic to humans. Eat the berries, examine the vines, examine the berries. Clustered together in tight drupelets, the berries vary from bright orange to a yellowish-orange color. The size of each individual fruit differs slightly between bristleberry and bristlebane, but it's very difficult to determine without the two side by side. Examine the vine's leaves. The leaves extending from the main vine are bright green and lobed, with edges resembling undulating hills. This matches an old saying you recall about the berries. Leaves like hills, safe from chills. Leaves like rain, unending pain. The berries appear to be safe. Rub the berry pits against your skin. Better to test with your skin rather than your stomach. You break off a cluster and mash the berries between your fingers, revealing the tiny pits inside. Working in slow circles, you rub them against your arm for a few seconds. Your skin remains free of any stinging rash, which you take as a good sign. Eat the berries. You adopt a cautious approach, filling your patches with berries while eating only a single cluster. The fruit is sweet and tart, surprisingly juicy for its size, and the thought of immediately eating another handful is tantalizing. But you restrain yourself. With the stream as your guide, you cut across the dense forest and eventually reach a main road with little difficulty. A rush of sugar and euphoria puts a spring in your step. Suddenly you spotted your edible berry from toxic. You tear into your patches and devour the berries, invigorated by every bite. Satisfied, you bound down the road, revitalized for the journey to come. Refreshed and invigorated. Congratulations. What an encounter. Speaking of berries, that's fantastic. A very tart raspberry that's soaked in vodka. I don't mind if I do. Don't mind if I don't. Do mind if I miss out. That was delicious. A dog. Merchant Praxis. Anyway, I'm gonna do Praxis. With a hockey and bronze. Merchant Tychus. Who will protect our shops without a garrison? Yeah, whatever, you're fine. Frost Core, Lightning Core. Damn. Please sell me the cores I don't already have. No. Oathbound Dagger. Relentless. Oh, multiple projectiles. Jesus Christ, that's fantastic. It's also incredibly expensive. Not sure if I could thank you or deal with the or treat you as an occupying force. Occupying force. Jolly merchant greets you with a smile and a clap on the shoulder. Mercy. Just devastating. Rejuvenating. That's cool, but I'm good. Mantle of Mirrors. Jeez, that's fucking good. Ring counter seal. Accept. Incredible. Yes. Don't mind if I fucking do, that's for sure. I'm trying not to sell people's original gear. Oof. Turned out well, though. Adds a bleeding affliction, adds a rooted affliction to force, but still. Bleeding. Root. Oh, that's so cool.
Sorry, I can't.
Milita. My friend's been buzzing, being like, hey, you have a salmon stew. I know. I've submitted them. We are. Okay, we're done. Slender woman picks her prog juice in a carried sack. Her hands appear focused on finding a particular piece of fruit, but her eyes are intent on the other shoppers in the marketplace below. A man passes by her, accidentally dropping a pouch as he goes. She bends down to retrieve it and hands it back to him. Careful, you almost lost this. She takes the pouch with a blushing smile and promptly walks away, clutching the pouch. He takes the pouch with a blushing smile and promptly walks away, clutching the pouch close to his side. The woman spots your approach as the man walks away. Greetings. How may I be of service? Clever. I almost didn't see you pound those rings into that pouch. Almost. I didn't realize I had an audience. Must be a sign I'm slowing down after all these years. Don't worry, nothing underhanded, just trying to repay a debt on the quiet. Certainly someone such as yourself understands the need for discretion. Military, I presume? It must be the peddler my friend mentioned. Oh yes, that's me, but while I'm in town, Xantha will suffice. In my line of work, discretion is lesson number one. Although it seems someone else failed in their discretion, else he wouldn't be here. She looks at you with a nervous smile. Is there something I can do for you? Just what are you here to peddle? I used to specialize in written things, but the skills are gone, so are most of my clients. These days, I mostly deal in wineskin, shoes, and lamp oil. Nothing glamorous, but what else do people need in times such as these? Need to find Phoebe. Well, the fact that I know her, that's free. Current information costs extra, and information on friends costs extra that. So this isn't the kind of question I'm comfortable answering. I can be trusted. Ask around town if you don't believe me. I can't brag Graham with noble sentiments, but if a fate binder is asking, I confided in me to be forthcoming. Phoebe sends me the occasional missive. Last I heard from her, she's doubled back towards the burning library. She's got herself the dangerous notion that she can recover scripts from her old home, though I think she's avoiding the actual library, seeing it's as the epicenter of devastation. She mentioned a place called Phlogiston. I think she means a village that used to be called Babbling Springs before the war. Out in the contested lands. That's as much as I know about where to find her. If you can't find her there, maybe she's taking her chances at the library itself. Wagstaff sent me to find you. Did he now? Suppose he needs a reminder in our code of confidentiality. I ask, how and where did you run into Wagstaff? It was a chance meeting up north. He's healthy. He indirectly hinted he was considering turning his back to the Tidecaster flotilla, and I guess he really meant it. That's all I need for now. That's enough. Sunrise District, Sunrise Falls, Old Walls Entrance, the Sunset Spire, Moonrise Falls, the Forge. Baby K, watching you on the monitor, go to sleep. It's very late for a little baby. This isn't the Forge.
Sorry, I can't.
Matt, you're being very responsible in that you're not demanding attention constantly, even though your parents are not in the same room as you. And so it would be very normal to be like, no, I need attention right now. You're an excellent baby, and I'm very impressed with you. But also, it is time to sleep. It's very late for a little guy. Welcome, friend. We'll certainly have a look. Cool, I'm good. I think I've sold you a bunch of junk before. need to get another spire so I can make all this stuff. Move through the plot? God, such a shame. Lahara, Master of Tempering. You've returned. So there's more demand for iron than there is time in the day. Looking for some napping tools on behalf of Jaspos. Jaspos! Not have heard from him in some time. He certainly did his part to create the forge here, but there's little else for a napper to do after setting the foundation. I'm quite certain he was ordered to return home. She grabs an iron ingot and holds it aloft. This, on the other hand, is the vanguard of my work. Of our work. Our work. My tour of duty ends only when it is there are no more enemies for my iron to kill. So where did Jaspos end up? He's dead. He asked this task of me before passing, and I'm bound by duty and honor to handle things. Dead? Then I hope the Karas he died engaged in his craft doing what he loved. What do you know of Jaspos? Only the superficial, sadly. He worked in stone. I'm more keen on metal, so we rarely compared notes. And he was arrogant, confident beyond his years and talent. Not to say he was inept, far from it, but a few years of flaking shirt does not make one Karas' gift to the Forgebound. Does Jaspos have any associates around? Once this place was built, most of the nappers were sent home. And the supervisor was Cassandra, master of napping. She was sent home as well. She's been on in years, not quite fit for the long walk back, so I think she's currently enjoying a boat ride home. Did the stone nappers leave behind any of their tools? If so, where might I find them? I have no idea what inventory the stonesmiths kept with them. All of our stoneworkers left some time ago. If you were meant to return north by ocean travel, which first meant traveling to the southern coastline. I imagine they're probably gone by now, but if you need those tools, I can't imagine they had a room in the galley to take all of their sledgehammers. That were you, I'd ask around for Cassandra, or since she's luckily on a boat home right now, since some local was drafted to attend to her or all her stuff. Maybe they inherited some of her excess belongings she couldn't take on the boat. So, aside from that, I suppose in the abstract, I could have someone cast a few chisels and hammers, but if you're looking for tools made by and for the stone experts, I think South Haven is your best bet short of slogging it back to Fort Resolution. Must be going. South Haven it is. Your party, you must gather it before venturing forth. South Haven. Might as well. Encounter in Lethian's Crossing. You leave camp one morning to empty your bowels when you feel a palpable sense of power on the air. Your skin tingles, prickling into goosebumps as the hair on your arms stand on end. You go rigid, momentarily forgetting about the pressure in your lower organs. Listen carefully. Surely enough, you soon make out the crackling electric sound of wisps, some of the smallest and least consequential bane. Yet you know that wherever wisps congregate, other larger bane are likely to lurk as well. You weigh the decision to investigate or ignore the bane and carry on with their travels. Lose fear with everyone. No, pursue the bane. You soon find yourself in the shadow of the towering ancient edifice of the old walls. Continuing along their length, it's not long before you make out the sounds of your quarry, a series of low, grim, wholly unnatural growls punctuated by the constant pops of electrical discharge. Soon you can make out the glow of the bane, a pulsing miasma of wisps, their forms almost indistinguishable from one another as energy crackles among them, backlit by the hateful red glow of a pair of scourges. Fight, 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 fight. Yeah, fuck yeah. We haven't had combat this whole episode. We haven't had combat since we've got our full party. Ridiculous. We've got to see how they go in combat. Also, I can't see a
Can't do
fucking
that.
thing because the Streamlight is on my new, very fancy OLED monitor. Is not great when there's a lot of ambient light, and that's fine. Okay, ready?
Send me
Fucking get it.
your
All right,
champion.
Barrick. So you can just stun a bunch of them. Syrian. False pit. Oh, that's not very wide at all.
I'm ready when you are.
Monhas, please. Stun.
On your knees, warrior.
Oh, look at everyone leveling up. Baby,
back
baby,
here.
let's go.
Well,
I got it.
Pity you won't
go,
enjoy
go,
this
go,
as
go.
much as I do.
Take that.
Why are there party limits? Well, why does the
I'm
game
enjoying
start to
this a little
break
too
down
much.
when there's
I'll tear your skeleton out by your ass.
waiting for clear path is a pathing message that appeared multiple times in that fight. Does that make sense? Is the way we're having issues with that repeatedly? I think it should. It's very funny. I'll tell you, tear your skeleton at your ass. Like, I could wait to get 2 points to start increasing it 2 at a time, but, like, this is fine. I think it's pretty clear that you're hitting diminishing returns and you should just enjoy it. Anyway. Appearing next to a target. Moves. Recovery time penalty while moving. That's insane. You've done very well, Luxy. Thank you very much for joining us at this time. Sincerely, it has been a pleasure. Have a lovely Easter. I'll be thinking kind things about you for the rest of the evening, alright? If you can indeed indulge me in indulging yourself, please do. Yeah, well, I'm hitting on you, so I'm going to pretend you're instead going to indulge yourself in a way that I suggest. You know? Whether that's realistic or not, well, that's up to you. I say no, it's not realistic, but that doesn't mean it's not enjoyable. See, that's the spirit. That's what we're looking for. Been thinking fondly of you. Sleep tight. Good night. Active. I'm looking to get a lot of passives. Requires 9. I'm using a lot of agility moves, so let's start getting this. Duelist. Dual wield mastery.
Right.
Right. Yeah. Realism, that's not what I'm looking for. Ridiculous, I'm hitting on you answers. That's what we're looking for. Supply you with hot chocolate and alcohol. Moments of relaxation and promises for more. Time for your body to recover before we using a few of its resources. You know, good-natured fun. Captaron. Oh, the Fate Finder. Hello. Welcome to South Haven. A middle-aged man nods to you, clutching a small apple crate in one arm. A well-worn scrap of parchment pokes out of his bald fist, charcoal tally marks visible on its exposed surface. Well met, traveler. Sorry, I was getting these out for Hermod and didn't see you coming. Welcome to South Haven. You're the fate finder, aren't you? On a claim to Mountain Spire. It's not every day we have such an esteemed visitor. He awkwardly bows. Several apples falls out of the crate and bounce out of his hands, rolling past your feet. Sorry, he sets the container down. Is there something I can do for you? What do you do here? Me? No, I'm not anyone important, fate finder. I never took to a particular trade. I'm not a man of letters. I just help out where I can. He gestures towards the crates behind him. I count the produce for Hermod. He lets me take a few fruits when I'm done. His words are interrupted by the rhythmic clanging of hammers against metal. He turns to look at its source atop a nearby roof, exposing a gap-toothed grin as he speaks. And of course, the forge band always need fresh water, so I'll pump it for them from time to time. I'm sure Cassandra appreciates that. Not familiar with South Haven? Tell me about it. I'm not sure what's really all that worthy of note. He scratches his chin, inadvertently smudging it with charcoal. We've got the river and the sea nearby, and live by what they bring us in the good seasons, trade for what we don't have, and our luck dries up. If you're bored already, good. I think Kyrus's forces were bored too and seemed to ignore us. Some recruiters from the Gors came by in years past and rounded up some folks who were out in the fields. I think they took the Tullard's boy, and also the Corber twins. That was the worst of it. I've heard plenty of stories from elsewhere in the tiers. 3 folks gone. While a tragedy is nothing compared to the suffering seen elsewhere, we are fortunate. No denying that. How did this village end up staffed by Forgebound? Oh, their arrival was the biggest change you've experienced in some time. It's been maybe 2 years. A scouted entourage came to town, and we all thought we were being invaded, but no, just a bunch of craftsmen booking passage out of the port south of here. When they've arrived, they were all ill with fever and needed to rest. Since old Leon's knocked off, we let the forgeband use her house. We all assumed it to be temporary, but either the ship they meant to board sank, or they had a change of plans. A span later, the forgeband was still here and making themselves at home. Didn't hurt that the villagers here were fascinated by their crafting magics. The youngsters in the village all lined up for lessons, and Kai must be praised they saw fit to tutor some of them. They've been awful helpful. Spears and arrowheads for our hunters, plows for the fields, fish hooks for the rivers, even a hearth or two for those cold nights. They also help keep us safe and stand watch all over the town. Well, if I were younger, I'd ask them to train me. Cassandra's almost always at work, just on the roof of the building behind me. She's a busy woman, but I'm sure she has time for you, Fatebinder. What do you know about Cassandra? She's incredible. She's no spring chick, but she can split a boulder better than any man in the village. You can tell her apprentices respect her by just the way they look at her. Everyone in the village feels the same way. If she speaks up, we take notice. She is intimidating, though. I wanted to give her a suggestion about some stone arrowheads she fashioned, but she looked really angry when I approached her. She was yelling at one of her students, and another was on fire or something, so my timing was poor. There's lots I'd love to learn from her, but I'm too old to be taken seriously as a candidate. That's all for now. And the boy's asleep. Success, everyone. I was not too fucking loud, and so the child has begun resting. Ah, parenting. It is indeed a delight, and I would not trade it for not parenting. I have a busy life filled with many things I like doing. If I were to cut down on any of them, it would be work. That's the bit I do that I like the least. The study, time-consuming, difficult. Whenever I spend time in it, I enjoy doing it. Leisure and learning, also good. Love podcasts, love gaming, love streaming on Twitch. Parenting, many hours. The bit that fills up nearly every other time that isn't on work. Worth it, every minute of it. Work? It just pays the bills, baby. It just pays the bills. I would not return to my pleasant, enjoyable, sometimes useful work ever again if I won the lottery. I would be out and I'd be trying to spend my time to create a better world. The young man squints at the bottles in front of him. He picks them up, shakes them, and sets them down, satisfied after every examination. Was it fennel pollen or rhubarb root? He catches sight of you and stops his search. Hello, traveler. Something I can do for you? What are you looking for? My wife took fever recently, burning temples and an awful rash. She's a tough one, but I wanted to get her some medicine. I know the boiled silverthorn works well, but it's a few rings too many for me. There must be an alternate. Elderbark is what you want, almost as potent as silverthorn, but a lot more plentiful. You can probably buy it for a song. Oh, thank you. That's very kind of you. I'm quite worried about my wife, and these herbs will really help. Is there anything I can help you with? It's the least I can do. I have some questions about people in town. Of course, thanks to you, I can spare a moment before getting these herbs back to my wife. What would you like to know? What do you think of the Forge Band? No qualms here. I was a bit nervous having them in town at first. You'd have to understand, we fared better than most during the conquest. Kyrus's war raged on elsewhere, so none of his armies marched to South Haven. But who knew if the Forge Band would attract attention from the Archons or Brotherhood raiders? They proved me wrong. Nobody attacked the village after they arrived. When Cassandra isn't training them, the Forge Band help out however they can. Can't say I'm a fan of the curfew they enforce, but it's a fair trade for the surface. Curfew? Tell me about this curfew. Ah, Cassandra demanded it. Guess the Forge Band dealt with raiders on their journey here. Don't ever want to be caught unawares again. It's a hassle, but I'd rather them here. Not like I need to be wandering around in the dark anyway. So aside from a few folks, most of us stay indoors come the evening. Cassandra's apprentices then keep an eye out for intruders. And after a full day's work, too. This is not an easy trade. Do you have any opinions about Cassandra? I've no issue with her. Truth be told, I've never really spoken to her. You can hear her barking orders at her apprentices at all hours of the day. I never felt comfortable interrupting their sessions, though I know some folks like Captaron help them out from time to time. Perhaps you should ask him. Tell me about Captaron. Captaron's been in South Haven for a long time. Everyone knows him. He's a simple man, but about as good-hearted as they come. My father grew up with him right here, said he's always been kind. Captain doesn't have a trade to speak of, other than helping others. He'd probably go out to pick herbs for me if I ask him. He likes to stay near the village entrance to direct travellers most of the time. Since he's always assisting folks in the Forge Band, he's one of the few that are allowed to wander about during evening curfew. He glances at the Forge Band workers with a knowing smile. Of course, everyone knows that he's smitten by their leader. He finds every excuse to be close to the Forge Bound and every excuse to avoid speaking with Cassandra. He's an old man with a child's heart. Farewell. Wow. Hyacinth. You see a tall figure with patchwork sash of animal pelts slung across her shoulder. The skin on her sunburned face melds with a pair of naturally flushed, freckled cheeks. She speaks energetically to two nearby villagers, animated in her depiction of a recent hunt. I had to crawl real low through the brush. Those critters have eyes like eagles, but are too deaf to hear their own farts. I got close enough to see its nose wriggling in the air. They could actually feel you coming that way, you know? But it was too late. One swift thrust later, it turned into dinner. She hears you approaching and spins around, spear held out playfully. It goes there. Her laugh is hearty, but it ends abruptly as she takes note of your appearance. Apologies, Fate Binder. I had no idea you're visiting us. Forgive the jest. I've been burdened with an overabundance of energy since childhood. One way or another, it comes out. She offers a purposely awkward curtsy. What can I do for you? Can you tell me about the Forge Bound? Fine folk, as far as I'm concerned. Everyone around here is better off with them. Cassandra and her students keep me supplied with fresh spear tips and arrowheads, and my life's never been easier. I spend most of the time in training, though. I think that's the real reason they're here. They pass on secrets from master to pupil in a safe place. Cassandra's a hard ass, in more ways than one, but her students are better off for it. I certainly make short work of any of our requests, nails, hooks, blades, whatever you can think of. Only old Lycus didn't take too kindly to their presence, but that's only because he's a half-rate smith whose blades are as limp as he is in the sack. Anyway, I like them. I'm not too wild about the curfew they've demanded, but Cassandra insisted it's for her own safety. I haven't seen any Brotherhood of Bandits while out of my hunts, so it's not like we're less safe because of it. With a toothy grin, Hyacinth offers a friendly wink as you approach. Fine day out, Fate Binder. Anything you need? What do you think of Cassandra? She's a tough nut to crack. She's been pounding Steve for so long that she's forgotten how to hang out the hammer and enjoy other pursuits. I first got to know her after we got to talking about hunting implements. I think she saw something in my enthusiasm for it all and would steadily become pals. She's a much different person after she unwinds. Not that there's anything wrong with having a tough exterior. She's a master of napping, after all. You've got to maintain her appearances. Cassandra's gravelight tools seem unique. Any chance she'd part with them? Doubt it.
All she ever goes on about is chisels, moils, slates, tampers. Who knew there was so much to know about wedges with handles? If you need tools, ask her. I bet she'll make them, just for you. Just to show off what she can do. But her tools, seriously, those are probably the only things in the world that she genuinely loves. Farewell. Oh, Cassandra. Her tools. She's not going to give them up.
Sorry, I can't.
Well, well, master of napping. I don't know if we'll get your fucking tools, buddy.
Sorry, I can't.
Mercer, buddy, calm down. Smith's Day. What a day to turn up here. Cassandra, master of napping. I'm a free the heavy leather helm. Nicodemus. Who's that? Fortune about apprentices. You've got a glowing thing on your belt. What's that? Anyway, Nicodemus. Barrel-chested man surveys the area with a stern expression, eyeing you nonchalantly as you approach. A large, short, horseshoe mustache traces the top of his mouth before racing down to his chin. When he speaks, the bristles nearly mask his lips. Well met, Fitbinder. What do you need? What do you need? Who are you? Nicodemus, Cassandra's second. I have a few seasons under my belt, unlike these pups in the forge. He gives a sideways glance back towards the work area. I watch over things when Cassandra has better things to do, which is always. What do you need? What can you tell me about your leader? Tough, but fair. Cassandra knows that teaching and napping are both acts of reduction. In the case of teaching, one chips away at ignorance. Some don't like your approach. Such fools are not fit for our guild. Why the forge bound here? Ask Cassandra. She gives the orders here. No point in me guessing at her meaning. That's all for now. Cassandra. Small group of forge-bound stand in conference around an older grey-haired woman. Blue tattooed streaks trail down from her hairline, coming to rest upon an old pair of eyebrows permanently fixed in a severe expression. She grasps a hunk of jasper and strikes it several times with a sharp piece of obsidian. The motion should feel rhythmic as you work the stone, as mundane as breath. The sinewy biceps contract to control the force from each impact, keeping the jasper remarkably still. Listen to your senses. If the shape in your mind doesn't feel inevitable, then you're wasting your strength and my time. Noticing your approach, she halts her demonstration and waves off her apprentices. We'll continue this later. Fatebinder, I'm Cassandra, master of napping. The forge-bound present are in my charge. She grants you a perfunctory nod. I know your time is limited. South Haven is too remote for this meeting to be chance. What is it that I can do for you? How did you end up here in South Haven? As master of napping, it's my duty to build the forges that keep the others occupied. Bronze and iron are the guild's trademark, but stone's the foundation. When Kyrus's conquest began, my kin followed the armies into the tiers, and I led the efforts to build up Galethian's crossing. With our task at the crossing complete, there was naught to do but return home. I barely made the long march south, so I decided to head towards the closest port, just near here. Planned to catch a boat back home, but the journey here was difficult. Brotherhood bandits ambushed us on the road. Her eyes narrowed to memory, and she rubs the left side of her abdomen. They fancied our forge implements and thought them fair payment for use of the road. I refused, and we brained them with our hammers. She cracks her neck with a quick tilt of her head. I cracked a rib or three, and some others in the party were wounded, so resting in South Haven seemed wise. The locals were overly accommodating, so I started wondering if I'd even live through the sea voyage home. So I decided to set up shop and teach here. Our temporary stay became rather permanent. Do you know a man named Captain? Captain? Oh, for fuck's sake. She rolls her eyes in a sudden loss of composure. A love-sick cub if I've ever seen one. He's helpful in hauling and odd jobs, but not for his endless pining. Not that he's ever experienced love, as best I can tell. He's well past fathering age, but probably couldn't find a vagina in a brothel. Most he keeps his affections to himself, thankfully. He's harmless and always compliant if you yell loudly enough. Do you fancy spineless men? Have at him. You have hair? I thought all forge-bound shaved their heads. She permits a smirk for the briefest of moments. I've shaved my head for nearly every day of my life. I think I've earned a reprieve. She lightly smacks the back of an apprentice's head as he kneels to work. These idiots don't get that luxury. We have these traditions for a reason. If you waded into a forge fire all day, you'd know better than to grow a mop of wicks out of your head.
I thought Jaspos was the master of napping. Jaspos? I thought officers of the court would be better informed. Fatebinder, there can only be one master of napping at a time. I'm not a corpse yet, despite the wishes of my apprentices, so the title remains with me. So what rank does Jaspos hold if he's not a master? Why are we even talking about Jaspos? The only title he is fit to wear is Master of Arrogance. He's a dutiful enough student, but I've heard the boasts he's made to my apprentices in private. He learned quickly, I'll give him that. He's a long way off from attaining any kind of mastery. It takes a decade of consistently impressive work before the guild would allow the title of master to be bandied about. If I drop dead tomorrow, there are a dozen others more qualified to inherit my title. She lets out a long sigh, eyes narrowing as her upper lip twitches. What gave you this notion that Jaspos is the master of napping? It's a detail that came up as part of an investigation of mine. I can say nothing more on the matter. If this is true, someone must be informed about. She halts her thought through her clenched fist. If it's true that Jaspos is claiming such things, know that it is a punishable offense in the Forgebound Guild. When you are more at liberty to discuss what you know, please bring this to the guild's attention. I'm here to retrieve Jaspos's napping tools. Jaspos's tools? What sort of nonsense is this? Good question. I'm starting to suspect that I've been duped, and I'm guessing the only tools here are yours. To commemorate my 50 years of the guild, Zedania made me a tool set of the most exquisite craftsmanship. No doubt that's what Jaspos has in mind. After we left Lethian's Crossing, I noticed the set was incomplete. Several key hammers and chisels, one of my best loops, all missing. At the time, I assumed the fault lay with me. The way to South Haven wasn't without its troubles. I assumed I misplaced things during the shuffle. I would never have guessed that Jaspos would steal them from me, from his own master. If my knees were still good for sprinting, I'd chase down that ungrateful rake and pulverize the skeleton one bone at a time. Her rage seems to vanish with a shrug and a smile. I suppose making tools is what I do best. Not like I can't replace what was lost, but those tools were a gift. Not even I can fashion sentimentality out of rock. I'm not sure how exactly I can help you with this situation, Fatebinder. What makes these tools so special? Zdenia fashioned them as part of a series of works inspired by some pre-war study into the Tidecasters and their ways. She took it upon herself to spend a year working only with crystals and metals the casters used in their designs. My tools were some of the best pieces that came in that year of experimentation. I try not to make a big deal about having tools inspired by Tearsman magic, but they are some of the finest I've used. I guess the idea is that some of the Moonlight's energy remains trapped in the business end of the tools. All I know is that with them in hand, I can work faster, with more precision and strength. In truth, I can do just fine with lesser tools, as much as I adore the set that Zdenia made for me. Nobody can make a handle that fit my hand quite like I do. She picks up a small hammer and twirls it in her hand. But if Jaspos thinks he can claim the rest of my tools and pretend to greatness, that ungrateful wretch is dead to me. I need those tools. She moves in front of a nearby table, shielding the stone implements from view. No, Fatebinder. You have no claim to these, unless you mean to challenge Zdenia herself. She places her hand upon a large hammer attached to her belt. I've told you the truth of the matter. I'll do so again before Tunin. I misunderstood the situation. The tools are rightfully yours. Sincere. Thank you, Fatebinder. She visibly relaxes, as do several of her apprentices, who quickly return to their duties. I'm glad we could clear up this misunderstanding, and I'm sorry that one of my own had deceived you. As his instructor, I should have spotted the flaw in his scruples. A shame is mine that he was not cleft from our ranks sooner. I must go. Return to Jaspos. Sorry, dumbass, I'm not helping you steal tools. But, my friends, that may be the end of this evening's stream.
Sorry, I can't.
Half tempted to... No, that is the Martini speaking, where I'm saying I'm tempted to continue doing the other half of the side quest there, but I just... think perhaps it is time to call it. It has been a lovely evening spent with all of you, playing some Tyranny and looking after my baby boy and my lovely wife. It has been a lovely Easter evening, and thank you very much for spending a bit of your time with me, whether live or in VODs. I value your time that you've given to me. I'm looking forward to making more progress in Tyranny. I'm looking forward to marking it off from the list that says games that I have enjoyed but have not finished. And I'm very excited to move into Dragon Age 4 The Veilguard pretty soon. Let's say, like right after Tyranny, right? It's going to be a lot of fun. And I sincerely hope you're here to join me through that process. Thank you very much for joining me on this lovely evening or whenever you're watching the VOD. And please do join me again Monday and Wednesday evenings or on the VOD channel on YouTube. You can find information here in chat. You can see that there. Otherwise, please, as a favor to me, tell people you love them very much. Good night, everyone.